a research that has been conducted, I think at Stanford University, I should get the details of that, that says that yes, there are some predispositions genetically for baby's personality, but the pregnancy is very much indicative of baby's personality after birth. That means if the mother is stressed, especially during so you know how there are like 3 trimesters, right? The first 3 months, and then the next 3 months, and then the last one. During this, especially in this space, this doesn't work. The mother's stress level is extremely important and determines the personality of the baby. That is whether the baby is gonna become an outward person versus an inward person. So actually the word that we use is neurotic versus leader. I didn't want to use that word, but here it goes. So then our solution is selling an ecosystem to pregnant mothers, to pregnant women, that consists of a device and a mobile software system. So the device would be measuring the stress level with cortisol, and we heard that it's really easy actually from saliva of the mother. That would be stress, anxiety levels, and help her, and then that connects to the software and then gives all sorts of visuals and graphs and all that, and help her manage it in order to have a healthier child, basically. The backend plot is there's another side to this, which is gonna sound the déjà entendu, is the backend platform of this could be used to collect data over time and allow mothers to compare themselves, right? Because there's a social comparison part of all human beings, right? We're all competitive. So imagine this like bundle.com of stress data or something. So I'm looking at it from a very particular level, but I have sub-use cases that I'm going to read to you. So one sub-use case is managing the transition from pregnancy to motherhood. So you tracked it, and then the baby is born, and guess what? According to our interviews, and I guess people could witness that the anxiety levels do not necessarily go down, right? So then we can continue the transition by continuing to graph. And the other one is building a backend platform to collect all biometric data, anonymize it, and allow people to compare themselves. So that's the bundle.com portion of it. Are you guys familiar with bundle.com? It takes financial information and anonymizes it, and then people compare themselves basically to other people. So our customers are pregnant women, soon-to-be fathers, and people who would like to gift the mother, basically. I think it would be a great gift. And this could have a coaching component as well, especially lactation coaching, but we shouldn't spread too much. So those are just a couple of sub-use cases. The market size is, there are 4 million babies born every year. That means 4+ million pregnant women, since it takes 9 months only, but I couldn't get to that number. It's a monthly subscription of $10 gives us a market size of 360 million. Plus we can sell the randomized data to nutraceutical companies. Plus we can sell coaching on how to reduce stress. And then after birth we can sell coaching on breastfeeding, which we heard was another job that's on our need list. So in my opinion, this is a 400 million plus opportunity. Again, this is very raw. I just wrote this yesterday. New jobs, new needs. Our competition includes parenting classes, prenatal yoga, doing nothing, books. So all these things that people do currently is our competition. Very quickly, our sustainable advantage will be the ecosystem. So it's not going to be just device, it's not going to be just software, it's going to be device plus software. And I think once we're in, we will have the first mover advantage. Obviously, execution is key. I'm going to repeat the same stuff. But once we're in and we have an amount of data, I think it's very difficult for competition to come in. I'm not going to do the team again. Our key risks are definitely adoption, like how, from a user perspective in particular, how do we make this as least intrusive as possible, right? And that's going to be using the mobile platform that they already use for a bunch of stuff anyway. So the device, we need to figure out how to make it the least intrusive possible so people comply with this, right? They don't just measure it during the first 3 months but then give up. And our next steps are definitely interviewing mothers, pregnant women, and mothers who just became mothers, I guess, and better understanding the technology. This is a new area as well. Thank you.
Feedback and questions.
I didn't fully understand your business model.
You didn't fully understand the business model. It's just subscription, $10 per month.
Okay.
And gifting.
And what?
Gifting.
And gifting, yeah. But gifting would be again giving the subscription to the mothers. I listed tons of stuff. That's probably why you didn't understand. One is selling coaching on top of that, right? The other one is after birth coaching on breastfeeding, which we heard is a need. And then the other one is randomized data to nutraceuticals. What is it that? So there's pharmaceutical and then there's nutraceuticals, apparently. I cannot even pronounce that word. But we can just sell, once we have the data, we can do tons with this. All that to say, I believe that this is a 400 million plus opportunity. I forced it to be 500, it didn't. I'm pretty.
$12 a subscription.
Yes, I'm pretty good at those calculations actually, but I did not this time.
You can make the numbers say whatever you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Other feedback from 0 to 1.
We have a doctor on board.
We talked a lot about it, so I took the feedback that we've given you. I wrote them for
What-
myself too.
I'm curious what pieces of technology you validated and what pieces you still have to validate. It sounds like you have the saliva tests are already validated, but then the interface between those and the software is what you have to develop.
Yes, definitely. So the physical component of it, the hardware part of it is validated, but we need to better understand the cost of it as well, right? If it's like $100 a piece, then it may not make sense.
So it's like there's a saliva test, but then what are the other components of it?
Well, how you digitize it?
How do you digitize it? How do you? I mean, it can be as simple as this device sends it wirelessly, right? Or it's a USB, and then you upload it. But we have to figure that out. Yes, you're right.
The question is, do you have to do R&D to create new hardware?
Yes.
I think we need to do R&D, but I would say that the IP is already out there, so we would keep it as simple as possible.
Okay.
You don't have to discover anything, you don't have to discover how to test from saliva, but you might have to adapt the existing hardware for
I
our
see.
application.
Yeah.
How often do you need to take the saliva samples?
That's a great question. I think we need to test that as well, like what would people be willing to do versus the perceived value of this, right? I want to say every week, but what we heard was every day.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the result is instantaneous. So then it's really more like how much data you want to be dealing with.
Yeah.
So it gives you like an instant answer of how stressed you are, pretty much. That's all.
So do you do it every week even after you've given birth too? You just keep doing it?
Yeah, you just keep doing it. Yeah.
Do pregnant women do anything today to measure their stress? Nothing.
So this is linked. No, not necessarily. But what's important about this is that they just discovered the linkage of the behavior of the mother during the pregnancy, that it can affect the character of the child. It's not just DNA. It is actually that the mother can influence that. So and going beyond that was okay. Well, how can we inform the mother about her behavior? And the saliva test was something that sort of is already out there to be adopted.
So
They measure blood pressure?
they don't measure, but they do a bunch of stuff to manage stress, including prenatal yoga.
What I'm asking is like you don't really have to start if they already do something that gives you some indication of stress.
Yeah.
You can just start with the management side rather than the device side. Although the device side is much more defensive.
Yeah, are they already measuring it?
I mean,
Okay, it's really more what's missing is the reinforced linkage between that actually if you behave better, there is a direct effect on the character of your child, which is what's not out there now because it's a very recent research that's been validated. So of course moms to be, they want to have a healthy diet and not be stressed and all that, but till now the widespread belief was that your behavior doesn't necessarily influence the character. It can influence habits such as whether the child is going to most likely be obese or what so on, but not necessarily character, whether it's going to be alpha male, alpha female.
I think, so overall I really like the area. I think we talked about it also.
We did, yeah.
The ability to give people who are going through transition, some kind of coaching, because people are struggling with it. And I'm not a parent, but I know a lot of my friends, first-time parents struggle a lot with what do they do when they have a baby, right? It starts crying, should be taken to the emergency room. There's a lot of costs associated with that, just with the stress levels and with the lack of knowledge, and they have to go to the emergency room, which increases the cost, etc. So I like the fact that you can help people, you can help coach people on that, or you can help give them some kind of a way to get smarter about the transition they're going through. And I think people are less price sensitive during that time.
During crisis, they're going to do anything to get out of it.
Or during like pregnancy, especially first time, am I stressed, am I not stressed? So, I think it's actually smart, and combining some kind of a hardware, as long as you can build it cost efficiently, and combining, because it gives you some kind of defensibility with a subscription service or some kind of
that's why I
gives
would say
recurring revenues. I think that's smart, and you can also take that into form before the birth or after the birth. You can continue that coaching and provide some kind of later on you can penetrate other verticals. It's really
that's why I was saying lactation coaching, which was coming from your feedback.
I like that angle. One of my concerns would be the angle of saying that there's definitive evidence that the baby is going to be impacted in the last 3 months of gestation. I mean, maybe you've got one article right out there that says it, but you're going to have a lot of doctors writing into editorials saying that they don't believe that's true. So I think that you don't want to build your business on that. You wouldn't want to build your business on that argument. You want to build it more on the transition of just solving that.
Yeah, that's a great point actually. No, actually that's a good point because so it reminds me the Brita case. Do you guys remember? Sorry, this is for GS Beers, I guess. The Brita water thing. One of their competitors, and I know I'm running out of time here, but I really think it's very similar to that. So one of the competitors of Brita said we are eliminating like 50% of bacteria in the water or something, and that really did not work because people didn't like the other 50% that was there, and two, like there was this scientific thing that wasn't very justifiable. Versus Brita went with it tastes better.
Right.
And the other filter was better actually. The other filter was better, and it just didn't work. So excellent point. We have to figure out how to market it and what to stick to, what not to stick to. Although we believe that there's scientific evidence behind it, we shouldn't put up in people's noses.
The messaging you want to go with moms who are pregnant and newer is you want to do everything you possibly can to give your kid every advantage. And that's the messaging that's going to resonate.
And not increase their stress in the process.
Right, exactly.
I was also thinking if they're too stressed, maybe we won't show because they'll go just too. They're like, what am I doing to my baby, right?
Just send chocolate email.
I want to get Andrew a chance.
Okay, well that was actually going to be one of my comments is that compounding effect, right? If you are showing these really high stress, showing the compounding, right? And I think it would be kind of difficult to get people to change their behaviors to take saliva samples. There are other ways that are much less invasive. So there's a company called Effectivia. They're based out of MIT, where they have a new sensor that's coming out. It's called the Q sensor. It's a wristband, and it measures the electrical signal of your skin, and it correlates that to your emotional stress levels. So you could actually have something that's very passive, and it's always on. So you can always take a read of the stress level at whenever, and you don't have to, let's say, take this saliva. It's just on your wrist. So just experiment with perhaps
with different
various types of
ways
that are coming out. There's just this ecosystem is getting richer and richer. And Effectivia is just one of these case examples.
And actually.